Today I'm here with Maddie, who is a mentor, music teacher, choir leader, talent finder and singer. She's also a key voice in the Deal community, and if you really like arts or music, definitely give Maddie a follow because she always posts about them. So thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me, Melissa. It's great.
So the topic we're going to talk about is how passion can become a portfolio career. So my first question to you is, when did you realise that music was going to become part of your livelihood?
It was let me think, about 15 years ago, something like that. So I've always done amateur music, learning instruments as a kid and being in orchestras and things. And then I did join an adult choir when I was in my 20s, when I was working in the City of London. But so up to that point, it was a hobby and a way of meeting people as well. So it was when we were living abroad in the Cayman Islands, this job came up for me. My family went, yeah, okay, looking at the picture of the beach on the agency website, yeah, we'll come. My boys were very small, and my husband was able to come with me. And joining the orchestra was just a way of meeting people and people outside work, because on a small island you tended to come across everyone that you worked with when you went out in the evening. You'll think, oh, actually I'd like to get to know a wider group of people. I used to run summer workshops for our own boys, who were only about 7 and 8 at the time. They were starting out on piano and violin and things at school. And I used to invite friends' children as well. And I was just sitting with one of the mums and watching the kids, playing and things. And she said to me, you really should be a music teacher. And it was one of those sort of epiphany moments that obviously stuck with me when we then came back after 3 years. And I looked to retrain as a music teacher, but then reality hit and I realised, because I was the main breadwinner, that I wouldn't be able to afford to do that because I wouldn't be able to pay the mortgage. And instead So I did sort of go through it. I did a music diploma and started to PGCE in secondary music. Realised I didn't really want to work in schools where there weren't enough resources or there weren't many children interested. So I set up Maddie for Music. So the subject that we're going to talk about, because I have been the main breadwinner for 42 years, it wasn't a case of, oh, well, I can just sort of give up my other career. So I sort of added it in on the side quite often in my spare time to start Maddie for Music, which was the youth choir initially.
Oh, okay. That must have been really difficult to have had that like epiphany moment and then realised, oh, actually I can't make this work with like my current lifestyle. That must have been a really tough decision for you to make at the time.
Yeah, it was. And there was a point where I did go freelance as a consultant, and I used to do training, but the income was so choppy. 1 minute, a few £1,000 one month, and then nothing the next month. And I even had to borrow some money from my mum, and I'm sort of, never ever done that. I've always been independent and felt very proud to be independent of my parents financially. And she understood, and it was just a temporary thing. But then I sort of had to go back to sort of I did contract work for a while and then went back into permanent work. So it was hard, but it's not that I don't enjoy my other career, my business career. I do really enjoy that. So this wasn't a case of trying to get out of a job that I hated and into a different career. So I did quite quickly sort of reconcile myself to this was how I was going to do it. It does mean working harder, probably, and also maybe being, to be honest, being slightly less available for the family. My husband was supportive because he knew that I wanted to do it and I was passionate about it. So at times it'd be tension because I'd say, oh, we've got a gig at the weekend. He'd say, oh, well, I'd like it if we had some free time at the weekend. You work all week. There was a bit of juggling, and I've done that ever since over the last 15 years.
So my second question is to move on to the choir. So you started the choir back in 2012. So what gave you the courage to start that choir, and how has it changed over time?
Back in 2010-11, I was doing this diploma at Canterbury Christchurch, and I got the opportunity, a very small opportunity, to lead the group. There were 20 of us, and it was a mixture of ages. Quite a few people on that course hadn't got the A-level results. They wanted to do a music degree, so it was sort of an access course to enable them to pass that and then go on. So there were lots of youngsters, so that was good practice, really. Lots of 18-year-olds, and then there were a few of us who were mature students, typically in our 50 or 40s and 50. So I did have a bit of a taste of it there, and then but as you say, I think you said use the word courage to do it. Although I've got all this business experience, I've never run a choir. I have managed teams, so there's quite a lot of transferable skills with the choir. But I did. It was a bit of a sort of, whatever the expression is, a sort of moment of faith, to sort of advertise it and see who turned up on the first day. And before I did that, I did do some training. There's not a lot of specific choir leader training, which is something that I'm thinking about actually, because people tend to come to it from different places and sort of just learn on the job or learn from people they know and everything. So there is some, but some of it's quite formal. It's more choral societies and things like that, how to lead formal choirs. But I did go, it was the School Music Association, which I'm not sure if it's around now, but they did have a sort of one-day conference where you got to practice with the choir of the chap that was running this, which was really scary, because I remember him saying to me, thanks for that, Maddie. What I saw was you were dancing around and the choir enjoying themselves, but I'm not sure they knew what you wanted them to do. I haven't said that to anyone for some years, because this was right at the beginning, 15 years ago. And there's probably still a bit of that that goes on with me, because I'm not too formal about it, but... so I remember the very first day, and my neighbour came as well. And I remember her making some criticism afterwards about, you should do this, that, and the other. And at the time, I had no clue. I'm really taking it all thinking about it. Next week, I sort of adopted her advice, and then I thought, actually, no. As I got a bit more confident, that's not what I want. I don't want it to be a formal choir like she's used to.
Yeah.
So. In confidence, I was able to say, well, yeah, great, people have got their opinions, but actually this is how I think I want to do it. So I think I had about 10, 15 people turn up the first time, and you asked about how it's gone. It's at one point with, I think, 3 people. It dropped right down. It was years ago. There was COVID, and I also moved to Essex for 3 years, and a friend of mine who's a singer took it over, but then COVID came and she didn't have good internet, so couldn't go online. But the core of the group have stayed together because they've become friends.
Oh, that's lovely.
A lot of loyalty there. So I've still got people from 15 years ago. And then most recently in March, I've changed the day that we meet, which is was because I was doing the other job full time this time. Last few years was Friday early evening, but that actually capped the numbers because many people don't want to meet then. They want to go out in the evening, Friday night, or go away or look after grandchildren. So I've changed it to a Tuesday night and added a daytime session on a Wednesday. So all of this month of March has just gone. It's quite a scary transitional phase as to can I still make the choir thrive? It's a lot for me. I have to do 2 sessions. I have to book the hall twice. It's more cost, but so far so good because about 7 people since the beginning of the year when we started transitioning have joined new members.
Oh, that's great.
It's 40% of the choir because there were about 20 that we had at the end of the year. I do feel quite scared about it, and the choir are a bit jittery because they're not used to this Tuesday night, Wednesday thing, and they go, what's happening, Maddie? We're not sure. And I'm sort of cancelled one for Easter, and then they're, is it on Tuesday? Is it on Wednesday? So we're all getting used to it. So but it's been a good journey, good ride.
Yeah,
so far.
I've found in my career that people are quite adverse to change at the beginning.
Yeah,
they kind of don't like it. I think it's something psychologically we just like routine. But eventually it becomes the new normal. Tuesday will become...
Hold my nerve. I've described it to myself. And I have a colleague, a younger lady, Lois, who was a member of the choir. She's had a baby. The baby's a year old now. And she gave her primary teaching. She's doing online tutoring. And I was saying, I'm not sure about the choir. But she said, can I help you run it? And from last September, she's been covering for me and I've been training her. And she helps out with the gigs as well, so that makes it easier for me as well. But the change, I've said to her, when we've said, we had an away day, which is more my corporate life. We sat down for 4 hours, made lunch and everything, went through all the ideas that we could think of for the choir's growth, and this was the idea that came out of it, the Tuesday night and the Wednesday lunch. She could help cover it. So we said to each other, it's a bit of a roller coaster. We're going to have to hold our nerve. We will have a couple of casualties. 2 people couldn't make either of those dates. We lost 2 people, but out to 18 people at the time, I think it was. quite good. It's not bad, you know.
Yeah.
And then some have joined the hospital choir because they're NHS retirees, so they could go over to the other choir. But yeah, I suppose we're all the same. Because I was just thinking that, you know, the leisure centre in Tides has changed ownership or management, and changed yesterday. And I've been going since the beginning of the year and really enjoying it, and it all gone wrong. I couldn't, you know, log in, and it was trying to charge me £10 a class and everything, and I was really stressed about it. So it's changed from country. So we all feel the same, don't we? That when something works for you, you don't want it to change.
Yeah, exactly. And even inside of companies, when there's like a massive change, but like a mild change, it seems to kind of take quite like a month, like a few months to get through it and just get used to the new normal.
But it is, you know, a really good way of describing it, because, you know, with the landmark choir, we will probably take us, you know, I've said we're going to have another meeting in me and Lois in May and see where we are with it, how many members I've got, see what we think. Is it going well? People enjoying the new format? And then at the end of July, sort of, you know, is this feasible, you know, and viable going forward, which I'm pretty confident it will be based on what's seen in the last few weeks. So by September, when you'll go back, they've probably forgotten that they used to meet on Fridays. You know? So enough time will have elapsed. Sometimes you just need time.
Exactly. Yeah. So my next question for you is, how do you manage so many different roles without it feeling like chaos or burning out, or does it actually feel a bit chaotic sometimes when you're doing, like, going from music teacher to choir leader to whatever else that's going on?
Yeah. So up to now, up to a week ago, I had a part-time job which was remote in my other career, you know, my governance career, and I'm quite good at it, the juggling. So it doesn't freak me out. Like, I know some people would find that overwhelming. I mean, even when I talk to my husband about, he says to me, "What have you got on today?" I go, "You know, I've got this, you know, I've got that. And he's already switching off, because for him, he wouldn't like that, you know, to have 4 things on the day. But I do thrive on it. I'm also a good administrator and organiser, because my governance job taught me to be that. So I would organise AGMs and, you know, sort of board meetings, and there's always a lot of bits and pieces, you know, papers and questions. And so I'm very used to, you know, project management, really. And I suppose doing a number of different things, sort of parts of projects, so they all have different timelines. But I have been known to make mistakes, because I do take a bit too much on, and that I know that, because I'm positive and passionate about the music. So someone says to me, "Oh, could you, you know, provide a singer for this, that, the other?" I go, "Oh yeah," and then I'm onto it. But I don't think, "Oh, well, actually, no, next week, you know, it's too packed already." I was, you know, just before doing this with you, Melissa, I was thinking something or other about, "Oh, shall I do, you know, do that?" And I thought, no, actually, I've got enough going on in June or something. You know, I was thinking about my diary just in my head, lying in bed, and I thought, I shouldn't be taking on another thing. You know, so it's a bit about prioritising. So most of the time I'm fine with it, and I have been known to make mistakes. And one particular friend who was in the choir, she's left, and I hope it isn't because of this. She's gone to another choir, in a competitor choir. I forgot to turn up to have coffee with her twice. And the thing is, it was very early in the morning, and I'm not good early in the morning. So she used to want to do it before work.
Okay.
I've just retired, actually, but so it should be easier. She should be more flexible on timings. But and now my friend who helps me with the choir, she sent me a message on April Fool's Day. "Are you here yet?" And she did it on, because I admitted to her that's what happened. And luckily, this friend it took a while, but she's forgiven me. One was a domestic problem, you know, these happen at home, family thing. But the other one was, I just didn't look in my diary, because, you know, unless you look at it the night before for 8 a.m, I'm not going to be thinking. I'm going to be thinking, "Oh, what have I got on at 10? You know, you know." So I have been known to, you know, not record every single thing that I'm supposed to be doing and when and everything, even though I do hold this portfolio of things, you know, in my mind. Most of the time I'm fine with that. But there are times when I do feel, you know, oh God, I have to get through it. And when I sort of check myself then, when I get to the point where I think, yeah, I'm now not enjoying it, because everyone has a threshold. Mine is quite high on this juggling stuff, and being busy in a good way, in a productive way. But there comes a point when then I'm thinking, I've got this gig, whereas before I would think, I've got this gig, and I've got list, all the things I've got to take and all that. But if I'm then restricted time-wise and I'm thinking, I've forgotten, I'm going to forget things, then the enjoyment that goes away, doesn't it? Because you don't feel you've got time to do a good job. So I do have to watch that and be aware of it.
Yeah, I can imagine. Would you say one of your things to improve on this year would be like saying no more often?
Yeah, I'm not very good with the no word because I'm a positive person, but I'd rather change that into this is what I can offer, avoid the N word, but sort of. So if someone said to me, the one thing I do, which as you say is an improvement thing now, is I don't immediately say yes.
Okay.
So I will to the invite or the opportunity, let me have a think about that. I'll look at my diary and think about my capacity or my time, the resources I've got around that time, and that gives me a day or so to sort of think. Also, do I want to do it? Because there was one thing which when I go to the kitchen table workshops that Katie runs, I know you've interviewed Katie, which are brilliant because every month I can look back and then look forward. There was this, I won't talk about it, publicly in terms of, but it was this opportunity which seemed like a good one. And the person wanted to do it was, let's do this, that and the other. And then I'm thinking, well, what's the benefit for me actually? I can see the benefit for you. And if I look at it positively, they wanted me to do it with them because I've got a good network and I've got the choir, and so it was positive that they wanted to work with me. But I realised that it would be a lot of work for me but little benefit. So in the end I did do it, but I got quite a bit of help for me to do it, so I didn't feel so overwhelmed. And I also tweaked it and sort of pushed back on some of the things that were being asked of me. So the pushing back, I think, but it's not a no straight away for definite. And that twitch, people go, oh no, don't do that. Oh no, I don't like that. I'll shrug it, or I might say, well, I can't help, but here's 3 other people I know that might be more suited. Because often people tag me on Facebook saying, Maddie for music, or Maddie, and I think, well, actually, because I'm not a virtuoso musician, I'm not, I suppose it's difficult to use the word professional. Yes, I do it for work, but if you said to, Maddie, come and do, sing in a solo in a choral society, I'm not that level of singer. I'm good at teaching and things like that. I know my boundaries and I know my skills. So because I've got a big network, people often just assume, Maddie can do that. I'll go and accompany someone in quite high profile stuff. Yes, I'll accompany my own students, but not, I'm not a also pianist. It's not my main profession. So that often happens. So it's more of a sort of no with bells on, sort of
no with bells on. I like that.
Yeah, it's sort of right.
It can be the title of the podcast. Nose with bells on. I like that. That's funny.
Somehow it's sort of moving from the no to here's some solutions. It's solution.
It's not
that I can help you, but it maybe someone else can.
Yeah, I think that's a really positive way to think about it, and I've really had to work on not saying no directly, like you said, but like really thinking if I want to do it this year, just because like I'm such a people pleaser, so I just say yes, even though I might not enjoy it or might want to do it. And so that's a really nice way of approaching that, instead of like the no word. Maybe it's more of a I'll get back to you kind of thing.
I also try to put a positive spin on it. So if someone says, would you like to bring your choir to so and so, I think, it's not the right type of choir, we're not free that day. In my mind, I'm thinking of all these things. I won't have enough people sign up. They won't want to travel to country, all those sort of negative things. But instead I say, that event sounds really good, well done for arranging, or, let me have a think. It may not be my choir, I might sort of give them that's like caveat, but there's quite a few choirs in Canterbury that might be interested in my network, and I can, signpost you. So, also giving, you can still please people, but not necessarily yourself. Be helpful and supportive of, and for me, it's not really people pleasing. I'm quite a lot more assertive than you, so I'm
Mm.
quite good at protecting myself in that way. But mine is my, Achilles heel, should we say, is the passion for music. So if someone goes, oh yeah, I'm coming to Deal and I want to put on a workshop, rather than me go, oh yeah, let me find you a venue and let me build you an audience, but it's the music that sort of drives me, the opportunity for music making that person's bringing, because I'm excited to share music, so someone else is also doing it. So I have to be careful of that, because what I just said there, I can say, oh yeah, I know all the venues, like like you might go, yeah, okay, I'll do that for you. I will get carried away by the fact that I like the idea of the project, but whether that should be me doing the work is
another matter. Yeah, I can totally see that. What would your advice be to someone that's quite young and they want to get into acting, singing, dancing, all the things, and they're getting pressure from some other people, might be parents, might be peers, or something, to say to just do one thing? What advice would you give them?
That's an interesting one about the one thing. So if you want to be a performer, it is really useful, because our son has been through that, sort of the acting, singing, dancing. It is useful to have a number of skills. You might not necessarily be at the highest level. So if I use him as example, acting, singing, absolutely there. Dancing, not really. But he really, it was part of his musical theatre sort of A-level equivalent course, and he's had a few jobs where he's had to do a few moves and things, acting jobs. So I think get your skills to a basic level, but be very open and honest about it when applying. Don't because I went to with friends and other clients of mine to auditions where there were these super duper dancers, and that really can affect your self-esteem, and it did. They travelled all the way to Brighton, and all these probably dancers couldn't sing, or act, but then they felt bad, and then they're coming back on the train thinking, oh, we're useless, whereas it wasn't explained properly in the audition, obviously, it was, oh yeah, it can be all levels and things. So it's being really careful about being honest with yourself about your own skills and what level you can achieve and want to achieve, but also finding out a lot more about the castings and, sort of almost digging that out before you go to Brighton and go. So I think to be a performer, to have the best possible chance of working in the industry, you do need to have a mixture of skills. I do a little bit of acting. I haven't had acting training. I can move. I can't dance, but it's not my main career. It's like the choir leading and the teaching music is. But what I would say is that using Toby as an example, he ended up doing a master's. He did a music degree and then a master's in acting. And he's ended up not doing acting, but he's a content creator on TikTok, and he's got a very big following, 30,000. And he's gone into sort of working as a brand influencer. So he works with Disney and O2 and people like that because of his reach, because these audiences are interested in some of the things that these brands, want to promote. And when we've spoken about, you're not really acting, and he did, have a go at sort of trying to establish himself in film and TV, but it's very, very competitive and difficult. But he said proactively, I'm still pleased I did it because it's given me the skill. Like he's put on his own show in London, and on the paid basis, people came to watch it. So he learnt those skills through the course. So the course, or the doing lots of things, like you say, don't necessarily all have to be exactly in the right space, but it's interesting. Often, I would get requests for, have you got someone that can play the accordion for this play? And so you've got some skills and some specialist interests, develop them to a level where you can potentially use them in a work environment, and they come in handy, especially in film. Well, there's we've all done roles where, because we can play the piano a bit, they often don't use your piano playing, but they want you to see someone that actually looks like they're playing the piano properly. It can't be just someone in playing. I've gone about it in a rather roundabout way answering your question, but
but that was really well detailed and well thought out. Actually,
because the question is around being a performer. It is important to. I think the last thing I'd say on it, and it is a personal choice. So, for instance, Toby, using him again, doesn't want to do panto. He doesn't want to go on a cruise ship as a singer. He doesn't really do stage work. Well, that limits his opportunities very narrowly, so that was partly why he didn't establish himself as an actor.
Right.
But other people are happy to do all of those things, and sort of, and maybe that's not their favourite thing, but it's a way of getting into the industry. And then maybe you do a canto in London, and then you get a job with another chap that I used to work with. He got a job at the National Theatre, in a play. So you never know where it's going to lead you, because you've got to meet people, network. But everyone's has those personal choices.
Yeah.
So as a performer, you do need to leave yourself quite broad, so that you can take up opportunities in terms of your skills.
Okay, that was really. I never thought about people hiring you to look like you're playing the piano, but they obviously must do. These sort of things.
Yeah. The other bit, Miss Bennett. Have you seen that on television yet?
Nah.
It's based on Pride and Prejudice, but it's about Mary Bennett, who's not, she's not pretty and she's quite intellectual and everything. And I suppose it's a made-up thing. But there was a whole, dance scene last night on that, where you had a pianist, you had, a violinist and everything. And I was looking at it thinking, because you can sort of tell whether they're playing the notes that they're playing on the,
okay.
And so they're extras. Basically, they probably did play for the rehearsal, but they didn't use the recording. And they will put a recording over the top of it, and they do need to look like they know what they're doing.
Oh, that's really cool. I never thought about it that way, because I've never had interest in any of that kind of stuff. So that's really interesting, actually. I never really thought about it, but it's really cool. So I've got my final question for you. So, if there's one thing you wish business owners today would give themselves more permission to do, what would it be?
Permission to do? I think it would be to, take your wackiest idea and brainstorm it, preferably with a trusted friend, not necessarily in your business, but because often your wackiest idea is the thing that you feel most passionate about. It might not be something you can do now. So just using an example, I had the idea through doing this recurring revenue challenge, Lisa Johnson one a few months ago. It's not the right time for me now, protecting our time, as we were saying, so in the autumn, but it's how to teach a song. And doing that online, because there's so many people that I've come across that, in schools that are asked to take music and they don't have a clue, and there are out there, but often they don't know how to access them, or they're just not aware of them. And so it is a wacky idea for me, because it's totally outside anything I've ever done. But I've parked it. So I would say to business owners, don't have to act on it immediately, but take your wackiest idea, then sort of analyse it and think, going back to our conversation about what's the benefit to me, am I doing it because I think it would be useful to everyone out there, but actually I'm not going to enjoy it. So it's got to be, you feel you've got to have passion for that idea. So take your most wacky, passionate idea that gives you joy, and spend a bit of time, even if it's a couple of hours, working out whether you could make it, whether you want to, and whether you could bring it into your business as a new service. And I think the important thing is whether you've got the time to do it, or whether you can find the time, by maybe dropping something else that you don't enjoy. So having given up full-time work a year ago, I've spent ages sort of working out, what do I want to do? There's always 7 days in the week, aren't there? And how many hours am I going to give to each thing? And I don't always get it right. Sometimes I'm sort of thinking, I've given up work, but oh God, like we were saying, I feel all stressed because I've given time to something. But I know that the choir is my priority at the moment. So yes, it's 2 sessions a week. So it's no good me going, oh yeah, let's sit down and write a course for how to teach a song at the moment. So I've parked it. My method is put it on my diary for in the summer when the choir breaks up.
Okay.
And I don't have 2 sessions a week from mid-July, we break up for 6 weeks. Then I can go, well, yeah, I'm going to block out some time, which Katie taught me as well. Because if you don't block out the time, no one sees it seriously, do they? They say, oh, out, say, no, actually, I'm doing my idea brainstorm, give it a nap, and spend some time. So I'd say to business owners, the world is your oyster. There's no reason you can't at some point do your wackiest, most passionate idea. You might have to do it in a smaller way than you'd like to if you were free of other responsibilities, but don't limit yourself. But then find the time in a realistic way, not go, oh, well, I'll never get around to that because a lot of people you hear them say that, don't they? I'll never get round to it, but I'd love to. It's my dream.
Yeah.
So I've follow your dream, but you've got to then make that dream realistic, and maybe you do it in phases. Maybe you do it later. You block out the time and you start it. Like I can't eat an elephant all at once. You do 2 hours, and then after those 2 hours, you might go, oh well, I've been through that, and actually, I'm not sure I do want to do that. Because sometimes it brings that out, doesn't it? Or I think I might change that and do it in this way. So start following your dream in a realistic way.
I love that. Yeah, dreams only exist in your head until you actually put action into them.
Yeah, true. Yeah. And sometimes it can block you in your head, can't it? If you think, well, I really, really want to do this, but then you're not allowing yourself to.
Yeah.
So we should be kind to ourselves and give ourselves the freedom, but it has to be realistic because, we all have responsibilities and relationships that need nurturing, and so you can't just go, well, I'm just going to go away for the weekend, just do that, just flush out this idea, might be able to, but only if you try and organised it and agreed it with other people.
Exactly. Exactly.
Or found someone to do it with,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much again for being on my One Business at a Time podcast. It's been really interesting conversation.
And eye-opening as well. It's covered a lot of things that I've not talked about before, which has been brilliant.
Okay, brilliant. Do you have anything coming up soon, next couple of months, that people can get involved with? How to get involved with your choir, that kind of thing?
Yeah, what I'd like to promote the choir. As I said earlier, I'm growing it. So Tuesday evening, 7:15 to 8:45 at the Landmark Centre downstairs in the Cleary Room, and then another session. And basically, if you join the choir, you can come to either or both. And so some people are saying, "Oh, I've got an appointment on a Wednesday, which is at 1:15 to 2:30. I'll come Tuesday night," which happened. No, it was the other way around. We didn't have one on Tuesday, so a few people came on Wednesday where they normally come on Tuesday, so it's more flexibility. They can contact me, I guess you'll put all my details up, my email and things, to organise a free taster, so it's a free first session to see whether it's a good fit for you. And then through the summer, it's coming a little bit later, but from June and July, we've got about 4 or 5 gigs locally, including part of the Deal Music Festival. There's a guide dogs Busgatbon outside St George's Church, 13th of June. The Dover Multicultural Festival, we normally perform at that and run a singing workshop so other people can get involved. So they're a little way off, but just, for the diary, that's the 20th of June. 27th of June is the Deal Music Festival, and then the 5th of July is also Deal Music Festival, where we're going to be singing with a dance group.
Oh!
So I can't dance, like I said earlier, but it's a circle dance, very easy steps.
Okay.
And we've agreed with the dance teacher and some songs that we're going to sing along with so that it boosts the sound and gets more people involved.
Oh, brilliant.
On the 5th of July, Acton's Garden.
Oh, brilliant. That would be great to watch and see. I just want to say thanks again, and thank you for listening, and I hope you all have a great day.